Hi there, welcome to ILM Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Cancer energy. And for this round, we're going to use the Light Seers Tarot. And because these cards are so big, we're going to not do the 10 card spread so that I can fit them in the, whatever you call it, in the picture snapshot for the video. But we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody harnesses Cancer energy, but they can harness it in a more shadowy way, a more worldly way, a more enlightened way. High vibe Cancer is that you've learned how to love yourself, believe that you deserve love, are looking to be in relationships and investing in relationships with people who work together with you from a place of love and have learned those lessons to treat you the way they like to be treated. Realize that love is to be just and fair. But there's always some people in the world who, in a more shadowy way, could use their emotions more manipulatively to try to get people to do what they want, and might think everybody does that, and has an ulterior purpose. It's more for about them, for finding people to love them, so it's more self-focused, or it's more for the ego or the image or the status. And then there can be some people who can't decide if they want to do love or if they want to be more about themselves or the world or things they want to indulge in. So those are the different perspectives we're going to look at it from. And everybody at different times in their life, you can be a loving person, but we'll all repeat certain patterns because we have lessons to learn in life. And one of those patterns might be that trying to love people to get them to view life differently, basically to change and free themselves from things that manipulate them. And it's to realize the truth that if people wanted to be different and look at life differently, they probably already would look at life differently. And so you can offer peace and love and joy and encouragement to everyone, but to see the truth that when that isn't their truth, that we kind of maybe don't get in a more involved relationship with them. They stay in the friend zone until they come to that realization themselves, if they ever do. So let's see, what do we start out with here? We have the Six of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Five of Pentacles. And the reason that came out is because of the King of Swords. So the King of Swords I view as Libra energy of what we think is just and fair. We all have our way of viewing life and what we think is just and fair. And I also, in shadow, the King of Swords can be a person's self-protective nature, that I'm not going to let my more loving nature out to play, male or female, because they get hurt. So their more egoic, self-protective, defensive nature runs their life. Okay, so, and we all, to a degree, could have been more caught up in the world, wanting to manifest these things, think we know best, pride comes before the fall, we go invest in all these things, and have all these lessons to learn, and while we're at that stage of life, it is just and fair because that's our emotional maturity level and how we view the world. So the Six of Pentacles and the Hierophant are both Taurus energy, and it can talk about wanting to be in relationships with people. The Hierophant can represent all these different institutions of the world. We want a job, we want friendships, we want relationships, we want to maybe get married. And so we go pursue those things. And then, we're coming in contact. Taurus energy also can represent our philosophy of life, our truth. We come into contact with all these different people that have their own philosophy of life and what they think is just and fair. And in the Pentacle suit, they could be more about the things of the world, and they think that's why people should get in a relationship and why people should stay in a relationship. And other people might be a little more balanced in their philosophy of life. Yes, I want these things of the world, but I also want truth, love, justice, fairness, and some people would be willing to compromise some of those things because the things of the world are more important to them. And then as we come in contact with them and we work with them, or we're in relationship or friendship with them, it can take some time to really figure out and realize kind of more what drives and motivates people. But as we do work with them, it could force us to kind of really kind of think more about, well, what do I think is just and fair? And what do they think is just and fair? And how do they conduct themselves? And what drives and motivates them? Are they more stubborn or prideful or cold or defensive or materialistic? More self-protective in a way that they want to be in a relationship and exchange resources in a relationship, but they want to live more from their mind than their heart. And if that's not your truth, then we can have some problems in a relationship. And we have the Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles, and I view the Queen of Pentacles as Taurus energy. So a lot of Taurus energy about what our philosophy of life is. If we're in a relationship and the queens can represent how we think and feel, the kings can represent how we present ourselves in the world, we can get ourselves in workplaces and relationships with people because they do present themselves as being more just, fair, stable, grounded people. But again, emotionally, they could be more about the things of the world or their ego or their image or want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship. And they have all their reasons that they think are just and fair. But if you're someone who is more in high vibe Libra, more balance between your worldly nature and your emotional nature, and that is your philosophy of life, that I want it to be some of these things, yes, but I also want it to be a more emotionally mature, loving, just, fair relationship. Well, if you get in a more mismatched relationship, the high vibe people in the Five of Pentacles, Taurus energy again, are going to feel left out in the cold. Like it has all those things of the worldly thing that we could want, but is it motivated and are both people motivated and inspired by love? So it can have a lot of stability, security, things of the world that we want, but is that how we want to keep moving forward? And some of the other people are like, yeah, this is just and fair. We should keep moving forward like this. And the other people kind of are like, if I keep moving forward like this, I could love you. I could want this to work. I could want it to be just and fair. I could have put a lot of work and effort to try to get it more balanced. High vibe energy is being more independent. We can all go through phases of life where we live life a certain way and we view life a certain way. But high vibe energy wants to keep growing and healing and maturing itself, and for relationships to grow and mature over time. And other people are like, no, we should keep doing this and keep moving forward like this. And it can be where nothing changes. The relationship doesn't grow and mature. We're not growing and maturing. And some people that, to the Five of Pentacles can talk about that we kind of work through an old phase of life to have hope and faith and belief in ourselves. We learn the lessons we were meant to learn from that phase of life. Just like we were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, who wants to live their life that way forever? If we kind of keep living our life that way forever, other people are going to move on from us. And eventually it's not as fun and abundant as it used to be, because we did kind of learn everything we were meant to learn. And it's kind of like our intuition telling us, for you to grow to your full potential, you have to look at these things that you liked about living your life at a certain phase of life and see what things, though, you kind of need to let go of, and what are the good building blocks to take with you. Or, it's more like you're letting your fear and your defensiveness kind of stop you from moving forward in life a little differently, shedding some old ways of being. And who views life? Taurus talks about this philosophy of life that we have, and it kind of dictates the decisions that we make, who and what we invest our time, energy, and effort into. Most people don't stay stagnant forever. They had a way of viewing life, a way of living life, things they wanted to invest in, and that was just and fair at that time. But who wants to keep like being an 18-year-old forever? But some people, have this idea that, when I was younger, 15, 18, 21, 25, I maybe had to detach from certain things and certain foundations and ways of viewing life and living life just because peer pressure. But when I get older, boy, I don't want to do that anymore. I have this way of living life and viewing life, and that's how I want to live life. And I can't wait until I get to be a certain age and get out in the world and I have a job and I get in a relationship, and then that's the way I want to move forward forever. I think that's just and fair. But sometimes those people get more mismatched relationships, and the other people are like, you know, we're supposed to kind of learn and heal and grow and see what we should let go of and what we should move forward with. And, some people are Taurus is fixed sign energy. And some people are and that's why Taurus can be in shadow references being kind of stubborn and unbudging, inflexible. They have, which anyone can harness in their own Taurus energy. I have this way of viewing life, and I do not want to ever step out of my comfort zone. I have a way of viewing relationships, and a more shadowy Taurus relationship could be, and philosophy could be that maybe if I have these things of the world, or male or female, I look a certain way, I have a certain social clout, I have a certain status or image or money or power. Well, I think it's just and fair. I have these things of the world. That's what I focused on. And the kings can represent that people are operating more from their egoic nature instead of their emotional nature, male or female. They think it's just and fair that maybe people who emotionally have invested more in being more of an emotionally mature, nurturing, loving person, and they could have stability and security of their own, or status or image or good looking or social clout. But they think because I have these certain things, other people who are maybe more emotionally connected with themselves should want to be in a relationship with me, because everybody in their kind of worldly nature does want some of the stability and security and the status and the image and to be in friendship and relationship too. It's just that the more shadowy people think that because they have these, whatever it is of these worldly things that they have to offer people, that should be their contribution. That's emotionally what they're invested in and drives and motivates them. And they think other people should be driven and motivated more by those things emotionally. And then they should want to get in a relationship with them and move forward kind of in that philosophy of life and stay in those jobs or those friendships and relationships because it has those things of the world that people want. But they might not be kind of very emotionally mature, or emotionally it's more about the status or the ego or the image and not so much about facing their fears, figuring out why they could be more self-protective and more defensive. And that's when some people in those mismatched relationships, they want to move forward in life differently, and their truth is different, and what they think is just and fair is different. And for the people who've already been there, done that, you've probably already detached from those people, and those people are continuing to repeat this pattern because that's how they want to live their life. That's their truth. That's what makes them feel stable and grounded, and their idea of a victorious, successful life. If they go get in another kind of more mismatched relationship, they're going to have the same problem. If they go get in a relationship with someone who is more motivated and inspired by those things, in a way, both of them could feel a little left out in the cold, because if neither one of them really, their truth is not that they operate from a foundation of love, it could be a little lacking in love, but it has all those things of the world that they are more invested in. And if that's their truth, that's their truth. It's like, well, that's a sacrifice. We have free will. We either choose this or we choose that in life. And if that is their truth, that is what they're more emotionally invested in. If they're in relationships with people who are more on that same page, they'll probably keep moving forward with those people. And people who find themselves in a more mismatched relationship, you know, some of those people are going to keep moving forward in it too. It's just like you can have a job that in a lot of ways you like it and it might provide the stability and security and the status or the image or the money. But until you work through your own feelings like it's lacking and maybe people being loving and encouraging and supportive, maybe they just don't really do that much. So it can kind of feel lacking in that way. Or worse, they're bossy or controlling and stubborn and prideful and egotistical. And until people work through that, I just can't keep doing this anymore, they might keep moving forward in it. And some people right now could be kind of thinking about getting out of it, and they're doing that work within themselves emotionally to maybe stand up for themselves and their truth and what they think is just and fair. And again, that's why we come in contact with all these different people, is to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't, what we're willing to stand up for, if we're going to keep letting our more worldly nature tempt us to keep staying in things, or if we're going to listen to our intuition. And I could manifest this, but I feel like I'm going to be left out in the cold emotionally, or from being in more just or fair or balanced relationships. I'm not going to do it. And then the whole point of that was, what do you stand up for? And sometimes we had to repeat a lot of patterns and get to know a lot of different people and life experiences for us to even get to where we would stand up for ourselves and what we believe in. And maybe to start connecting in with ourselves more emotionally. And because we're so motivated initially, maybe for the first 30, 40 years of our life by a lot of these things of the world, and we make those things so important, sometimes we didn't listen to our intuition, even when our intuition was telling us, this isn't just and fair, this isn't going to work out the way you think, but we've all got lessons to learn in that. So, some people right now could be, everybody's standing up for what their truth is. Sometimes our truth is that, well, no, I'm a loving and encouraging to people, because in the Five of Pentacles, I keep thinking they're going to change. Well, after a while, we get tired of being in relationships, hoping other people are going to change. And we think, why don't I get in relationships with people who are kind of just more on the same page as me from the beginning? Who are more hopeful and believing and balanced and loving or just or fair. And that's how some of the high vibe people are moving forward with now. Then we have the the Knight of Pentacles, and the reason it came out is because of the Ten of Cups. So the Knight of Pentacles is, again, like Taurus, it's Earth sign energy. And the people who are more aligned with, and their truth is, and in the Ten of Cups, what makes them happy, is aligning with their more worldly nature, in their dualistic free will nature. They have the free will to make their life more about themselves or the world or these things they indulge in to make themselves feel better, and maybe not do love, because you can get hurt doing love. And love does require you, in the Knight of Pentacles, to become more independent of this philosophy of life, to get more balanced and align with, in high vibe Ten of Cups, your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Quit letting your mind run your life. Quit letting your fear run your life, or your codependent nature, or repeating these old patterns, or letting other people in the world or in your family or in your friend group or the world at large tell you have to make your life about this. If you make your life about this, you'll get justice, you'll be happy. And some people, that is still their truth, and that's how they're going to move forward. And some people might be going to pursue more of those things because that's their truth. or moving forward with people in their life who they think that is their truth, if they're more worldly focused, ego focused, image focused, or indulgence focused. Either moving forward with the people they're in relationship with, or going to find people who they think are more on the same page as them, or where they can have more of those things, because they're sure that will make them happy. High vibe people have become independent of their more worldly nature. They're aligned with their more hopeful, believing nature. The people in their life who are on that kind of same page, offering love and encouragement to each other, to work through our own fears and insecurities, to be more independent of those things, to get the justice we deserve in truth and love, and working together with the people who treat them in a just and fair way from love. And that's who they're investing their time, energy, and effort into, and moving forward with, walking away and distancing themselves from people in their workplace or world who they know are more, have their idea of what's just and fair, but it's not really maybe operating from love, and other people see the truth of it, and they just kind of keep, wish them peace and love, but I'm going to spend more time and energy with you or invest more in you. No. I'm looking to invest and move forward with the people who work together with me cooperatively from love. So then we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Cups, and the reason is because of the King of Cups in reverse. So when we're in more shadowy energy, it can be, again, we're not really listening to our intuition, and in our more worldly nature, we think we're the boss. And there's some people who, it's kind of like your heart grows cold. It's just like in shadowy energy, when you could go indulge in things to make yourself feel better. Those things, shadowy energy of the big picture, is kind of represented by the devil. All these things that kind of manipulate us, control us, tempt us to align with our more immature, self-indulgent, whatever nature. I don't have to heal and grow and mature myself. I can just keep doing things the way I want to do it. And that's true, you can. But there are consequences to your actions. If you keep indulging your more immature, prideful, bossy, controlling, stubborn, egotistical, immature ways of being, the Wheel of Fortune talks about that, kind of that we will reap what we sow. And for the people who are trying to move forward in a more mismatched relationship, as time goes by, when people are more shadowy, like things that we can become addicted to, it kind of gets worse and worse over time, because there's a reason why they act in that shadowy way. We might not understand it, they might not understand it, but if it's like, I like it to be more about me, or I like to be more indulged, or I like it to be more about these things, eventually it becomes kind of worse and worse, and it is shadowy. Eight of Cups can be where it is more and more about them indulging themselves and wanting to be indulged, and less about love. And again, the kings can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world. So people could present themselves, whether they're male or female, as like these just and fair people, to try to get people to move forward with them, hire them for a job, get in a relationship with them, marry them, whatever. But then as time goes by, if people were kind of caught up in the illusion of people, because the Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups, some people realize they did kind of get caught up in the illusion, and maybe they weren't listening to their intuition, or it's just to learn that some people wear very good false masks. But because we kind of really want those things that we want, again, we could have been more influenced by our codependency, our want for a friendship, a relationship, a job, wanting to have these things that we want to manifest come into reality, that we can move forward with people. But then as time goes by, we kind of realize that it's not really love that drives and motivates them, though they could have presented themselves as these just and fair and stable and grounded people, maybe like these pillars of society, and you should move forward with them. But then as time goes by, you realize in the King of Cups, which I view as Cancer energy, that it isn't really love that drives and motivates them. It can be, this is good for my ego and my image. This looks like I've moved on. This looks like I've healed and grown and matured myself. But people could end up seeing that there's still more about indulging themselves in a way where it's not really from love. Let's move forward in the relationship, but it isn't really love that drives and motivates me. This makes logical, practical sense. This is good for my ego and my image. I'm in a relationship. I like being in a relationship. But it is more about maybe them, more about them for the status, the ego, the image. Somehow how it's more about them than working together with people cooperatively and authentically from love. There's some ulterior purpose that more drives it. And at the end of the story, we have the Ten of Wands, which can be people who get in a more mismatched relationship with some people. They're kind of ready to move forward. Going with the flow is what the Wheel of Fortune then can talk about. Let's go with the flow. It's a natural progression. We've learned some lessons from the Five of Pentacles to the Nine of Pentacles. I want to let go of a Four of Pentacles, an old foundational way of living that we had been working on, but now out of hopefully in love with the Ten of Cups, we kind of bring that dream into reality. We let go of this stage of a relationship to move to this stage of the relationship. And then we become the Eight of Cups going to the Nine of Cups is, the high vibe people want people to become more independent of the past or being more about themselves or wearing more of a false mask or their protective self-defensive nature. In the Ten of Wands, they want to close out a cycle. Let's detach in that old cycle and have this Ace of Cups, have this new beginning. And that's when sometimes a relationship breaks down. And they see that the other people might want to keep moving forward the way things are. But then in shadowy Ten of Wands, fire sign energy, it can be more like, this works for me. I like being in it. Let's keep doing it like this. And that's when people can feel like in their fire sign energy that the other people are kind of more indulging themselves in the relationship, driven and motivated by these other things other than love. And the other people could kind of feel overwhelmed because they start to see that the other person wants to keep moving forward the way things are. And that they could be overwhelmed really about love or being more independent or detaching from this way of viewing life or living life, or they have other things or their defensive nature they're afraid of becoming more independent of to do love. They could have friends and family members in their life who they're more is kind of a core foundation in their life, regardless of how old they are, that they're still kind of more codependent on. And it's like, but of course, because that's like a friend or friends group or family group, they can't marry those people. But those still are their primary foundation. But, they want to be in a relationship with other people. So it's kind of, you either are authentically who you say you are, and you are more just and fair, and you are more independent, and you are ready to have new beginnings with people authentically, or you just create the illusion of being that type of person. But some people, it's like, well, no, I want to be in a relationship and have these things like a relationship with someone, because I can't be in a relationship with my friend group, like marry them and have sex with them, and my family group, but they're my primary foundation. but I want to move forward with you. It's kind of like indulging myself in a relationship with someone else, but I'm overwhelmed at the thought of becoming more independent of this foundation in my life. So let's just keep doing things like this, and let's kind of ignore the truth that I do kind of have divided loyalty. I either let my defensive nature run my life, but yet I want to be in a relationship, but I still want to be defensive, or bossy, or controlling, or prideful, or materialistic, or whatever, immature, whatever it is. Or I have these other people in my life that are my primary foundation, and how about we just keep moving forward like this, because it looks good, works out good, and eventually some of the other people in their life are like, if you don't have hope and faith and belief and love, and willing to become more independent of the past, or your defensive nature, or your prideful nature, your more materialistically driven nature, I don't want to be in a relationship with you just to be in a relationship, or the ego, or the image, or the status, or whatever. I want to be in a relationship because of love. And that's when some people will work through their own fears and insecurities about walking away from something where they feel it's lacking in love, to believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, and become independent, close out an old chapter in their life to have this new beginning. And come what may, I'm going to maintain balance within myself. I am going to listen to my intuition. I am going to move forward in my truth, being more independent, aligning with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, believing that in my free will, I can either make my life where I work more together with these things of the world, thinking that's all I have to work with, or in my intuitive, loving, creative, inspired nature, represented at the big picture by God, that I'm going to work with that energy and that's my truth. I have less. Do I have to work with things of the world? To a degree, yes. But my primary focus is going to be being more inspired to listen to my more creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature to guide the decisions that I make. And that also helps you get out of your more worldly nature and, really being enlightened to the truth that it's not. And that's high vibe Taurus, really walking the talk. And you come out from behind kind of your own, seeing through the mask of how we're just kind of getting out of our ego, and I'm going to listen to my more creative, inspired, intuitive nature to drive me. And I think because of people who kind of see through all the illusion of the world and why we could have done what we could have done, how we were repeating old patterns, and if I really want my dreams to come into reality, and I don't want to be in a relationship with people who have ulterior purposes, then I need to work through my issues of my ulterior purposes and put my faith and trust in being more independent of my more worldly nature, aligning with my more loving nature. If I know there's people in the world that are in the world needless, but they want me to move forward in that illusion and indulging in that illusion, and that's what drives and motivates me, I'm going to let those people out of my life in the King of Cups reverse, because I'm not harnessing a more egoic King of Cups myself, and I've let go of that. And now Sagittarius of the Ten of Wands is about learning lessons in life, going on this adventure. The Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups going to the Nine of Cups. are both about being more independent. And if I have to sacrifice my truth to have those things in the world, that's too much of a sacrifice. I will keep working with the people in my life who work together with me in this way. I will keep investing my time and energy more into the people who don't seem to be wearing a false mask, are authentically motivated and inspired by love, are inspired to keep healing and growing and maturing themselves, facing their fears to kind of grow to their full potential and to get the justice they deserve. We can settle for a more worldly justice, or we say, I would have to sacrifice kind of like my divine inheritance of being a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving and creative and inspired, where I can be more independent and with more other independent people, and I'm not willing to sacrifice that. And because of that, some of the people that you're not willing to keep staying in workplaces or relationships with, they could think you live in fantasy land, and that you're going to be really overwhelmed, and you might go through a period of feeling really overwhelmed or going through it right now. But I'd rather put in work and effort and go through the overwhelm to close out an old phase of life, because if life is about learning lessons and I learn this lesson, then I am going to go out in the world. And again, Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. If I keep taking these steps, slow, steady steps forward, eventually I will have completed the cycle and I will drop the burden and I will come out with the Ace of Wands and a brand new beginning. Because life's about learning lessons and I'm not willing to keep doing that. So I'm going to move forward doing this. And eventually the new lesson kind of has to appear in my life. And this is part of learning lessons in itself, is to be more independent, to learn to give myself what I wish other people would give me, to stand up for what I believe in, not settle for less than I deserve, not be in relationships with people who are kind of wearing a false mask, but they could be wanting to be in a relationship just because they're overwhelmed, want to be in things to indulge themselves and want other people to indulge them. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming? And just like you're doing this within yourself in high vibe, other people in the world that you don't even know are doing this. And then as you go on this journey, and maybe as you go look for new jobs, new friendships, new relationships, you end up finding people that you're more on the same path with. And the people who are moving forward with you in this way, looking for new people who are in that same energy to work with. The Ace of Pentacles, the Two of Swords. Why? Because of the Three of Wands. So the Ace of Pentacles, well, we'll start out with the Three of Wands. Because the Three of Wands talks about in your fire sign energy, in your Aries energy, you had a dream of how you expected things to come into reality. And if you felt like you were taking that action here to try to bring that dream into reality, but the other people, again, kind of what they were driven and motivated by was different than what you were driven and motivated by, you were willing, high vibe Virgo is about willing to deal with the truth. You saw the truth of it, of how they wanted to move forward was some of those people had this different idea of what they thought was just and fair, or what their end goals were. You saw the truth of it. You move forward with the people in your life who you feel are more on the same page. You let go of the people who you felt weren't. And because of that, you're going to have this new beginning. Again, the nines can talk about the completion of a cycle, but we have to keep going. And then because you keep going, you learn the lessons of continuing to go with the flow, to be independent, to keep persevering, and because of that, you get this new beginning. And in this new beginning, it'll be more, maybe more balanced. The Two of Swords is also represented by Libra energy, but you learned you were more maybe about the world, like we all are in a lot of ways. It really drives and motivates us. But now you've really learned to, with your dualistic nature, that if I don't invest in listening to my intuition, I can be more tempted in my worldly nature. And I think our intuitive, creative, inspired nature was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world because of the fact that people can wear false masks. And we can kind of get in our ego about it when people act these certain ways and they're not just and they're not fair and they're being kind of petty or stubborn or whatever, and we can be like, why are they doing that? And now it's like, you know what, I'm not going to get up in my head about it. I just see the truth. I wish them peace. I move on, no longer trying to change other people. Thank you for showing me the truth. You had free will to act in an emotionally mature, just and fair and balanced way to work cooperatively with me, if that's how I was working with you, to move forward together, to bring a dream into reality. But seeing the truth, that's not where everybody's at. And it's like before, that could have really gotten me up in my head and had me overwhelmed. And I would try to get them maybe to like me or want to work together with me or whatever. It's like, not anymore. Just thank you for showing me who you are. Can I still get along with you, treat you? But I'm no longer in denial of the truth. Because that's shadowy energy. Where I want these certain people to move forward with me. Why aren't these people moving forward with me and working together with me cooperatively? And that can kind of be us a little bit more in our ego nature. Even though you can be a just and fair person, you kind of still hadn't seen through the illusion that everybody has free will. And when people act a certain way, see that they are making that free will choice. They are standing up for their truth, and we need to stand up for ours. No longer, in denial of the truth of who people are. They try to emotionally confuse us and think that maybe they can because you are a loving person. And it's like, I can be a loving person to you too, but I'm not going to live in illusion and denial of the truth of who you are. You showed me the truth of who you are, and I see the truth of it, and basically kind of keep my distance from you and not invest much time, energy, and effort into you, because my intuition tells me in shadowy Three of Wands, which Aries energy is about the self, that anyone can make these decisions to act that way because they're a little bit more about themselves. And they want to be indulged in a relationship, not operating from love. And it's like, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't know why you do that, but that's for you to figure out. I don't have to figure it out. And I'm going to keep moving forward, listening to my intuition, investing in the other people who make the free will choice in a more high vibe Libra energy to be more just and fair in how they get along with people and work together with them cooperatively to bring a dream into reality, who have the same dream I have, not this other kind of dream where it's kind of more about them. And so I think you're going to have a new beginning, an alignment with your dreams and your intuition. And I think you'll be happy that you didn't invest in people and go along with the illusion. Because now you're going to be from the 3 to the 10. You're taking back the 7 of Wands, which could have been defending a way of living life and viewing life more from ego and people who are operating more from ego. And you're taking that back and you're closing out, getting out of your defensiveness to close out an old cycle to have a new beginning with other people who listen to their intuition, who are more independent, who believe in their dreams. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy? Ooh, kind of had a clump that wanted to come out there that they might not see coming. Oh my goodness. We have the Hierophant, the Sagittarius, the Temperance card, the Eight of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, the Knight of Wands, the Nine of Cups, the Queen of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the Six of Swords, and the Page of Cups. What they don't see coming, anybody in a workplace, a community, a family dynamic can be a little bit more full of themselves, or a little think everybody should listen to them, and if they have this certain way of living life, they tell other people they should live their life like that they have this life experience, and they probably try to tell other people and don't want other people to listen to their intuition and be more independent of them, whether they're friends or family members. This is how I live my life. This is how you should live your life. You should defer to me. I know these things. Don't listen to your intuition. Don't align with other people who are more independent and bold and brave and confident and believe in their dreams, because we kind of make our life about these things. And you should want to be in alignment with us, and your loyalty should be to us, and you should be in a relationship with me. But they also kind of create the illusion of being maybe just and fair and loving people, but it's more out of their own self-interest. Or because who wants things to stay the same? The people who benefit from things staying the same. Even if it's pride and ego and jealousy and envy, I don't want you to be more authentically and independent in the world, because I'm not. I let all these things manipulate me. And if you were to become more independent, then it would maybe bother me about why I live my life the way I live my life. And instead of me working through that anyway, I'm just going to try to stop you from living your life like that and to do it the way I want to do it. And because some of those people are acting that way, they're always going to have more high vibrational people in their life that want to be in relationship with them, who've been trying to offer them love and encouragement to maybe be more inspired by truth and love and being more authentically themselves, instead of being more about themselves, or letting these other things, or the world, or their ego, or their image, or whatever they indulge in, kind of manipulate them. And eventually some high vibe people in their life feel, in the Four of Cups and Cancer energy, unloved. Like I'm missing an opportunity in love. You might want me to stay in the relationship, but it is more driven and motivated by these things of the world. Like, you should stay in it because we're in it. You shouldn't love and believe in yourself to want for more. We look like we have it all. We look victorious and successful. But it's like, but is it love? Is it motivated and inspired by love? And if I love you, but you aren't really loving or authentically loving, maybe more manipulatively loving, using your emotions and your sexuality and everything else in a kind of a manipulative way, but you don't really love me, I kind of feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love. And I don't know that I want to keep moving forward in your truth and your idea of this dream life, because it's not my idea of the dream life. And they're going to have, and if people have been trying to offer love and encouragement to people, and some people keep being stubborn or prideful or egotistical or immature, some other people are going to move on from them. And loving people in our life can, and that's high vibe Taurus, put a lot of work and effort to try to make things work. High vibe Libra, loving people put a lot of work and effort into trying to make things work. And sometimes that's what people count on. And I don't want to be more independent. I want you to keep doing this stuff for me. And eventually people are like, if you're not willing to do this work within yourself, to temper your own fears and insecurities, to heal and grow and mature yourself, to deal with some truths that you need to deal with, see what needs to go, see what needs to stay, see what manipulates you. If you're not willing to do that, it's like pouring things into a black void. It goes nowhere. It does nothing. If people offer us a loving and encouraging, just, fair, stable environment where we could choose to heal and grow and mature ourselves, some people do that. And other people are like, well, no, I want it to be in this type of environment, like for me to rest within or indulge within, but I never do that work within myself. That's high vibe Virgo. People in high vibe Virgo do that energy within themselves. And other people are like, well, no, this is kind of the environment I was looking for me to keep refusing to change. Kind of like people who quit one job to go get another job, but there's a reason why the other job didn't work out, but they don't want to see the truth of it. But in their mind, they could view themselves as this just and fair and stable and grounded, emotionally mature person, but they could be kind of just more superficial and shallow in a way. Not, and I think they're going to have some high vibe people who move away from them. Because it's like, you know what? If that's your truth, that's how you want to live your life, I'm done trying to get you to see life any differently. Apparently, you don't want to see life any differently. So you do you, and we're going to go do us. And what they don't see coming is by them choosing to kind of reject their more high vibrational, loving, hopeful, believing nature, they then in turn reject those people. They align with being manipulated more by their defensive nature or their ego or their lust or their greed or their pride or their ego or their stubbornness. And then those are the people that they keep hanging out with because those people, again, reinforce that within them. Oh, you don't have to do that. Oh, we don't do that. Let's do this. This is just and fair. Let's make our life about these things. And so they might find themselves in jobs or relationships working with people in the Four of Cups who use their emotions manipulatively, who are kind of immature and self-indulgent and operate more from their ego and are more inspired by their ego and want to move forward with them in a relationship because it's more about the status, the ego, or the image. And they could think, well, if I indulge in these things, or this person gets in a relationship with me, or I get in a relationship with them, or we have this status or image in the world, they think they're going to be happy. But I think as they move forward in it, just like any of us who went and pursued some things and we maybe weren't listening to our intuition and maybe hadn't learned to love and believe in ourselves, we're going to find ourselves in things that are not loving. We either take action in truth and love and justice and fairness and act in high vibe Taurus with character and integrity, and we are who we say we are, or we're trying to stay in denial of the truth, caught up more in these things of the world, and we're kind of going down a path that is going to teach us that this isn't love. But if that's what drives and motivates people, and that's what they like to emotionally indulge in, they could keep moving forward in it anyway, maybe hoping it will take them to a next phase of life. But I would think if anything, it's going to be the next phase of life in more shadowy energy. It's kind of like how people can get involved in things, say that you can become addicted to. It starts out, seems just and fair, but if that's what you go to make yourself feel better, and some people it's just, status or image or being in a relationship, but some people it can be more about indulging in things. But just like indulging in things, you keep investing more in it because you think that is the answer to you being emotionally fulfilled and happy, that it kind of takes them to the next level of, and that's when they see the truth that, oh my God, I feel overwhelmed. I'm confused. I thought things were going to go in my favor. And Why did it turn out like this? Because we weren't, in our ego, we thought this was going to be the answer, but pride comes before the fall, and we maybe weren't taking action out of love for ourselves and others. And I think it's, the devil talks about, at the big picture, shadowy energy represented by the devil is really going to get a stranglehold on them. And our shadowy nature wants to be in the driver's seat of our life, doesn't really care what the hell happens to us at the end. They're going to say, damn, that was great. And they could just be trying to end up balancing out their emotions, that they're working together with people who don't really love them because they work with their more unloving nature. But they have some lessons to learn in the Knight of Wands. And they're going to keep repeating that pattern until they're willing, from the 4 to the 9 of Cups, work through the 5 of Cups, regrets of the past. That things in their life that made them choose to either be more about themselves, more about these things of the world, why they reject their more loving nature, why they aren't more inspired to believe in themselves or believe in their dreams, and maybe just be in more codependent energy. But there's always bigger fish in the sea that are looking for people who, you could have moved forward with more just, fair, stable, balanced, loving people, but you didn't. Interesting. So love isn't what really drives and motivates you. You're kind of more about these things. Perfect. Me too. And then they could have someone who comes into their life, and it does kind of seem like they have all these things that they wanted, but it's not love. And there isn't love there. And then they have to kind of deal within themselves, even though it might be overwhelming. Am I willing to indulge this person or be in a relationship where someone's indulging me because I thought that's what would make me happy? But it lacks inspiration and authenticity and creativity. And again, it's kind of like I have all these things that I thought I wanted, but I don't have someone who's more independent, creative, inspired, authentic, loving, because I don't align with that within myself. Those people I rejected, and I'm kind of in relationships with people who are kind of like me, a little immature, a little more self-indulgent, a little more manipulative and prideful and egotistical. But if that's what is most important to them, they'll move forward in it, even though they could feel overwhelmed because it's not based on love. And it's just like people having a job, how hard it is to go to a job that's kind of miserable, or people are being bitchy or catty or bossy or immature. It's just like, or you just don't like the job. And it's like, oh my God, but I took this and I got in this career field because, I don't love it, but I didn't feel like what I did love. I didn't know if my dreams would come into reality with that. So I did this, and eventually people are like, oh my God, I cannot work here anymore. And they leave, and it's like, I have to have some hope and faith and belief I can make enough money or figure out how to use what I do like and find a job in it and believe that the universe works with me to help me have stability and security, because God knows I need those things in my life. And if I listen to my unique talent, skills, and interests, and listen to my intuition, and I put work and effort to find things that are more aligned with my truth, that's where I will feel inspired and abundant and stable. Will I have as much as I could have if I just chose to make my life about me or these things of the world? Maybe not. But at least I'm inspired. It's exciting. It's a new opportunity. It's growing. It's healing. It's maturing. It is something that I find emotionally fulfilling. I'm not having to wear a false mask. I can really be myself, and I'm working with other people, working in some industry or whatever, where we feel proud of ourselves. High vibe Taurus energy and Leo energy. I'm doing something that I feel is aligned with my truth and loving and encouraging of other people who appreciate it. Not people where I'm putting in work and effort and they don't appreciate it. I'd rather give it more of these things of the world to be happy in my job, my friendship, and my relationship. But again, I want it to be balanced. It has to be just and fair. It needs to be, grounded and practical. But, you know, shadowy energy can be enough is never enough. I need to indulge in more of those things, or I need more money, I need more status, I need more power, I need more attention, I need whatever. And that's what drives their life. And they might end up with those things and realize they got caught up in the illusion. And maybe for some people, by the time they realize it, it'll be too late. And some people are too prideful and egotistical. And some people are very prideful and egotistical, and they're going to keep being driven and motivated by it. And love isn't what motivates them. I want these things. If I got someone to work with, I'm willing to indulge them, or if they're willing to indulge me, that's what I want. And we just need to see the truth of it. People invest their time and energy and effort into the things that are aligned with their truth. And some of the people that we thought were more just and fair and stable and balanced and loving and more independent aren't. And love isn't really what drives and motivates them. If they have a lack mentality, if they feel more powerful by controlling and manipulating other people, that can be the most important thing to them. If status and image is the thing, that's what's important to them. If they don't believe in themselves, if there's someone they can indulge to have some of these things that look like they have justice in the world, they're willing to do that. And that's like shadowy Scorpio energy. Life's just about death, sex, and taxes. Who am I going to have sex with? Oh, I'll have sex with you. Sex is sex. Well, that's a lot different than being in relationships with people who love you. But some people still think sex is sex, and so that's what they're doing. So there you go, Cancer. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.